First of all, I think that we don't have, given the environment that I think we're going to face in the Middle East, I think the first thing is we don't have a strategy at all. We're basically sort of playing this day to day. And I think our interests remain important in the Middle East. The truth is, you know, there have been a lot of books written about our oil, our interest in oil, and so on. I sat in the Situation Room for several decades, and on every time we intervened, oil was not the reason.
Right.
It was strategic consequences. It was early on. It was the Soviet Union. Then it was Iran. So there have been other reasons than oil, and I think our interests are enduring, but we certainly don't have a strategy.
Right.
Mr. Secretary, you've had some harsh observations of Vice President Biden in the past with regard to Iraq. Yet we had General Hayden on earlier, and he virtually espoused Vice President Biden's suggestions several years ago that Iraq should be just split up into several. You just alluded to perhaps Iraq breaking up in this false geographical area that we're involved in. What do you favor now? What do you think would be best now?
Well, again, I think, going back to what I said, I think that I have big concerns about unintended consequences. You know, I heard people talking about, let's say, in Kurdistan. An independent Kurdistan. The problem with that is it creates a huge problem for the Turks as well as for the Iraqis. The Kurds are involved in all these countries, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and once you move in that direction, you begin to have destabilizing effects in other places, particularly in Turkey. If it begins to fall apart, guess who's going to be the most significant player in the southern half of Iraq? It's going to be Iran. And so you further empower Iran if Iraq begins to fall apart. So the question is, and you know, I wish I had a good answer. I'd write an op-ed or something in terms of, well, how do you prevent that? Where do you move next? But we do need to stand back and I think identify what are our long-term interests in the region and how do we proceed. My own view is you don't walk away from the people that you've counted as your friends and allies for several decades. The question is, how should those relationships evolve?